do you sit at a coffee shop for 3 hours waiting for your EV to charge? In terms of the difficulty or technical nature of setting up these charging stations, because one thing that I think people get anxious about as well is these different OEMs have different plugs, and cars get charged at different rates. Talk us through a little bit about the different plugs, the different charging rates, how fast an EV charges, how slow an EV charges, and where we can find the different charge points at different speeds. I mean, do you sit at a coffee shop for 3 hours waiting for your EV to charge?
So yeah, there have been a lot of challenges. I want to touch on one quick one, and that is when we talk about the equivalent of what you used to 10 kilometers per liter and things like that. So the big thing with electric vehicles is really kilowatt hours. Some of the guys talk about amp hours. Problem is it's a technical term, and you've got to have additional maths to get to the real numbers. The real number is kilowatt hours. So the battery size in kilowatt hours is like the petrol tank size. So it tells you how big it is. And you just got to get
kilowatt hours versus liters.
There we go. And the kilowatt hours is, the small BMWs were 20, the bigger ones are 30, the big ones now are 40, the Jaguar I-Pace is 90. So it just gives you an idea.
So that's like a 60-litre tank versus a 120-litre tank, and you're going to get your range out of the kilowatt hours.
Yeah. Okay. So to the challenges that we faced with the installations, I think at first we were probably quite brave, not necessarily stupid, but when we went into it, we felt, this is how we'll handle it. We identified a few high-level problems, so that's how we'll deal with that problem. Once we got tacky on the road and started doing stuff, we burnt our fingers a few times. We had a couple of challenges we had to manage carefully. But at the end of the day, the biggest challenges, if I step back and look at it, the biggest challenges we face is energy availability at the site. So firstly, some sites...
So what is energy availability on site? Is it ESCOM delivering power?
The size of the cable coming from the municipality to the site. And it's not ESCOM. In this case, it's just the physical infrastructure, the size of the pipe that we're pushing that energy through. Okay. And if we want more energy at the site, we've got to put a bigger pipe in, and that pipe often runs under the road and goes to a substation half a kilometer away. And to replace that pipe might cost you R1 million. And now you're trying to do an installation for 50,000 Rand, it costs you R1 million just to replace the connection to the pipe. So that's quite a critical thing. In some sites, we didn't actually have enough. But it was the only site in town, in the smaller towns, and no site in town had the amount of energy we needed, but the one site we chose only had 30 kilowatts available instead of 60. So we then run in a constrained mode at 30 kilowatts, and that,
is that 30 kilowatts an hour?
That's 30 kilowatts in an hour.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So 30 kilowatts level, in 1 hour, 30 kilowatt hours.
And is that using the maximum capacity of that site?
It's using all the capacity of that site, what's left of the capacity. So, and we are, in other sites, even when we've managed to get 60 or 80 kilowatts, we've pretty much taken the last big 60 to 80 kilowatt chunk. So you're not going to put a second charge point down. And that becomes the next challenge, is to look and say, how do we start expanding this network? If we've got a lot of cars, we don't cars standing in line. The sites are going to be limited to putting more than one at a site unless we really find ways of enhancing the power at that site. And one of those ways is to enhance it through solar. So to look at renewable energy, put up solar. The other way is to start strategically working with the cities to say, identify hotspots in your city where we can put bigger capacity. And let's start putting bigger infrastructure in from the city's infrastructure perspective, so that we know we've got it in that area and we can then easily install and expand those charging stations.
Okay, so I suppose that's one kind of like fast charging versus slow charging hurdle to get over is the actual amount of power or kilowatt hours available at the particular site. So in order to charge an EV from 0 to full, let's take the new BMW i3 as an example, what sort of capacity would you need to charge that car fully in an hour?
So all of the newer cars, so BMW, Jaguar, Audi, are all doing 100 kilowatt capable. So the biggest chargers we currently installing is 80 kilowatts. We can still step up a little bit further with that, but again, no availability, so no point in going too far yet. to see where that's going to come.
So what I'm hearing is that the cars are slightly ahead of the charging capacities.
Yeah, I think that Porsche's bringing out cars that are going to do 350 kilowatts. And again, there'll be extremely few places, like the biggest shopping malls, maybe, where you'll have 350 spare kilowatts to be able to charge those cars at one charger. If you want two of them, you need 700 kilowatts. So that's what the challenge is. And the ability or the time it takes to charge a car is very dependent on, firstly, the size of the battery in the car. Secondly, the ability for that battery to absorb energy. So the older BMWs would have only absorbed 50 kilowatt hours maximum. So even if you had a 100 kilowatt charger, it only uses 50. And then, of course, how full the car is, etc. So it ranges anything from 15 to 20 minutes, right up to 1.5 to 2 hours, even on that's using always a fast charger, but across the range of cars.